as the Mayor's Chaplain, then I actually thought it's probably my first role as a Mayor's Chaplain during the year as well, actually, very different to the previous year. But I was actually thinking, actually, it's just amazing as councillors over the years, when we attend coffee mornings and other such events, we get to know the same faces week in, week out, and it'll just be interesting as we come out of COVID and coffee mornings and things start to become normal practice again, we start attending fetes and other functions. It'll just be interesting and sad. They're actually people who we've missed along the way. So it's just good if we can remember such people. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we give thought this morning to those who have suffered within our borough during the last year, suffered through loss of a loved one, loss of employment, suffering through financial hardship, and suffering from ill health. We pray today for the council proceedings and business to be transacted within this first physical meeting for some time. We pray for wisdom, protection, safety and good health for our councillors and officers and all staff. We give thanks for the work of our outgoing Mayor and pray for a good year for our incoming Mayor. And for this forthcoming year we pray for good community relationships, strong accountability, sound decisions and effective budgeting. And that our hearts will serve the communities in which we live. We ask these prayers in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. I'd like to call for a minute's silence as a reflection in memory of Prince Philip and also Tracy Williams, who was CEO some years ago. So just a minute's silence, please. Thank you. Okay, so it's item 1, appointment of Mayor. I'd like to ask Councillor Cheadle, who made the proposal, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The dictionary defines a mott as a copse of trees, often ash or elm. This, of course, explains Councillor Mott's interest in preventing subdivision of woodlands, which appears later on in our agenda. I thank her for her contributions over the last difficult year, wish her well in the year ahead, and trust that West Devon's motts flourish under her careful eye. We will do all we can to assure her efforts are not subdivided. It therefore gives me great pleasure to propose Councillor Mott for the office of Mayor of West Devon Borough Council for the forthcoming year. I call for a seconder.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to second the proposition, please.
Are there any nominations, please? Okay.
That is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just leave it on this. I'll leave it on because if I swear when I'm there, you'll hear me. It's like, So I'll now vacate this chair. You sit. That way.
Thank you, Tony. So I will now read the Declaration of Acceptance of Office. I, Caroline Mott, having been elected to the office of Mayor of West Devon Borough Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Members, I would like to thank you for the honour of representing you for the coming year as your Mayor. We're moving into a difficult time as we and others adjust to life after lockdown. While some will welcome the move back to normality, others will be unsure, and I ask for your sensitivity during this transition. I'd like to thank Tony for the work he's carried out on our behalf over the past 2 years. While it's not been the best of situations, I hope he and Sue have had some enjoyment of their time. I'd also like to thank the staff for their hard work in ensuring that the normal day-to-day business of the council has continued despite the extra workload. As you all know, I come from a farming background, and because of that and the increase in awareness for mental health, particularly as the past year has highlighted, my charity for the year will be the Farming Community Network. Farming is a risky and volatile industry to work in, with farmers having to deal with several issues that they have no control over. This includes disease, the weather, and fluctuating prices. It's also a very isolating occupation with long hours spent alone in poor conditions. Adding personal responsibilities, it's not surprising to learn that statistics show more than one farmer a week dies through suicide. The FCN offers practical and pastoral support to farmers and their families with a free helpline. There are also webinars, lunch meets and other gatherings to help reconnect with farmers who have felt isolated as we move out of lockdown. The Rural Plus training modules is one of several support schemes offered to young farmers to give an understanding of stress and anxiety and how they can support themselves and others. I hope to hold a few events to raise funds and awareness of the fantastic work that they carry out within our borough and beyond, restrictions allowing, and I would love to see you there. I've also left a leaflet for further for your information. Please feel free to pass them on if you know of anyone who might benefit. And as I come to a close, my hope is that we will continue to see an ease in restrictions and that we'll be able to meet once more in a carefree safety, and that we can continue to work together, all of us, for the benefit of our community. Thank you. So that was our thanks as well, wasn't it? So I'd like to present Councillor Leach the past mayors and mayoresses' medallions. I'd like to call upon Councillor Cheadle to give a thanks also.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tony's had an extraordinarily difficult year as Mayor. Not only have the nicer bits of being Mayor been impossible to accomplish, but holding the council to order by computer has not been at all easy, and Tony has done a tremendous job. And I think we all owe him a great debt of thanks for the hard work that he's put in on our behalf. So, Tony, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. I'd like to invite Councillor Leach if you would like to respond.
Yes, thank you for those kind words. If anybody's got bets on how long this meeting's going to go on, I can cut this in half if you like. But what I'm about to say will hardly do justice to what's happened over the last 2 years. I never thought that I'd have the privilege of being Mayor of Western Borough Council for 1 year, let alone 2 consecutive years. The second year has, however, been particularly challenging, with everything going virtual due to the COVID pandemic. Firstly, let me thank my mayoress, my wife Sue, for everything she's done to help me through this time. And it's slightly ironic that when I was made deputy mayor, she came here with her arm in plaster because they thought she'd broken it. And now she's at home with a broken shoulder after helping me deliver election leaflets recently. So just be warned, being a want-to-be councillor is much more dangerous than people think. Without Sue, the amount of money that we managed to raise for the community transport groups around West End would have been meagre indeed. We did manage to raise £1,647, all of which has been distributed already. It's a pity that we had our year stopped after, or the civic year stopped after 10 months, as we could have raised more if we had had a civic dinner. But many thanks to Councillor Davies and his good lady for the virtual dinner that he put on at the end of the first year. It was absolutely brilliant, and I guess if it's still on YouTube somewhere, and if you haven't seen it, it's well worth watching. Some of you may be wondering why I haven't had a haircut, because you can actually see it now, it's plastered, otherwise I look like a bush. So and I agreed that as we already have quite a length of hair, due to lockdown, we're going to keep growing it to the right length so they can be cut and used for people who need wigs for medical reasons. At least this will make the lockdown a bit more worthwhile. I might also be coming cap in hand to see if I can make a bit more money for local charity. My sincere thanks to Cathy Hall for all her patience, and she needed it with me and helped throughout the last 2 years. especially along with Sue for arranging our civic dinner, and with the on-off situation with the civic dinner, which has been frustrating for us all, but we certainly understand the circumstances. Many thanks to Darryl for his help with the virtual council meetings, which were a little nerve-wracking, especially the first few. I found it very difficult sitting literally on my own in the corner of my hall after having assistants literally sitting next to me for the first year. I guess all chairs had the same problem, but I feel the new virtual meetings were slightly easier to handle when it comes to questions and debate, as I didn't have to, and as Caroline knows full well, you don't have to sit most of your time trying to watch the audience for the slight hands, the nod of the head, the wink, for people who want to actually say something. So I could actually concentrate at home more on the substance of the meetings. My thanks to Councillor Davies for being my Mayor's chaplain, and I'm sorry that I've not called upon you as often as I probably should have through this year. Also, many thanks to Caroline, my deputy, for standing in for me when I was not available for events. Over the first 10 months, Sue and I attended just over 80 formal engagements. I guess the highlight of the first year for Sue and I was the royal visit by Prince Charles, which came as a nice surprise to all of us. And the saddest part of my 2 years was having the Duke of Edinburgh pass away during my term of office. Most of the past West Devon mayors and their partners have always commented on the highlights of their time in office. The yearly events such as Dartmoor Folk Festival, the Fishing Feast Experience, Showman's Guild Dinner, Coosey Fair, Tavistock Carnival, events with Lord Mayors of Plymouth and Exeter, and the civic dinners, and actually many more were extremely enjoyable. Having an invitation to the Queen's Garden Party and having it understandably curtailed by COVID is something that we'll probably always regret. Future mayors will soon realise that all the dignitaries you meet are just ordinary people like us. And from a local authority point of view, we all have much the same problems. The events that we found rewarding were the community events, such as Fates, Apple Fests, Harvest Festivals, the many events that Tavistock College puts on, and the other schools, especially around Christmas time, which are actually magical when it comes to the primary schools. Sue and I would often look out for smaller events, and just pop in on our way back from formal events. One such event was the Arts Festival around Lidford, which had a number of venues that you could just drive around to. And we're very fortunate to have so many talented artists living in West Devon. The project that I got involved with, again, in a lot of pleasure, were the weeks that I spent going around all but 3 of our primary schools in West Devon. I think there's 26, and I did 23. This was to promote the new then recycling and waste system that West Devon brought in that year. I still remember the song and the arm movements that we got all the children and the teachers to sing, which I hope they still remember. The thing about children is that they're not afraid to ask the awkward questions. And then a number of them ask me why my head keeps nodding. So once I tell them it's a central tremor and what causes it, they just accept it. It's better than having to explain to some adults that I'm not actually agreeing with all the time. During the last extremely traumatic year, it has been mainly virtual events. This included some events with the Get Change Theatre in Oakhampton, connecting in with the Lord Mayor of Plymouth at Allied Forces Day, Plymouth Mayor choosing, which was just last week, plus the high show of Devon's and Boer service. I've had 3 face-to-face events, that's all this year. One was the Armistice Day Remembrance Day, which was held at Oakhampton. And recently I've had 2. One was a guided tour of the railway works at Oakhampton and a couple of the stations on the line. And I attended a well-overdue opening of a very large and new Cladco building in Oakhampton, which is the sort of company we should be very proud to have within our area. I've been extremely proud to have been the Mayor of Western Borough Council, and even more proud of how members, and especially our officers and staff, have worked so professionally in handling the COVID pandemic. Plus everything plus everything that the government has put our way over the last year. Our officers and staff are still working very hard as COVID has not gone away, and we certainly should not let our guard down now. Our residents probably don't understand how much work our councillors had to do to make sure that our communities are as well looked after as possible, and everyone is to be congratulated. Again, thanks to everyone who's helped Sue and I over the last 2 years, and I trust that the restrictions that we have had to have over the last year plus will finally be lifted, and we can all move into the new normality so that Caroline can start to enjoy what should be a memorable experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leach. I'd like to now move on to item 4, which is to elect the Deputy Mayor of the Borough, and I would like to call upon Councillor Ball to propose, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations on your appointment. I must admit, this morning I had to really think hard to make sure that when I got dressed that I remembered to put my bottom half of my suit on as well as the top half, breaking protocol of the past 14 months. But I then discovered that actually, I really do need to go on a diet. But anyway, that's another story. First of all, if I may, just very quickly, I'd like to congratulate the 2 DCC electees for recent DCC elections. And I know everybody worked really hard, all those that stood, and I congratulate all the candidates for standing, because it takes a lot of courage and commitment to actually do it, and particularly those who conducted a very positive campaign. So thank you for that. If I may move on to the point at hand, Madam Mayor. I first met Terry 10 years ago when I was firstly, can I say that? No, I did. Firstly elected to this authority. Terry, Bill, who many of you know, and actually the outgoing mayor, who actually, Tony, congratulations on all that you did last year. Sorry, I meant to say that. I know it must have been a very difficult time, so really appreciate all the hard work you did. Sorry, I did actually mean to say that. But Terry, Bill and Tony were outside, and I just arrived, having, sort of been elected, and they very kindly invited me to join their group, which I thought was very kind of them. I politely declined, but it was nice of them to make me feel welcome. Terry and I worked together reasonably closely during my first 4 years of being county councillor, actually, because Mary Tavey was in my county patch when I was county councillor, and was able to work with Terry and saw firsthand how hard he works in his patch and how important local matters are to him. We often talk about Tavistock and Oakhampton here, but actually, the West Devon is made up of lots of small communities that make up the whole borough, and Terry works very hard in his patch, and I don't think it's impolite for me to say that there are one or two difficult parishes around, and Terry's worked very hard to try and find a way through with some of those difficulties. I've witnessed him work with communities to improve things, and remember the Mary Tavy bus stop, which was something he worked on for ages, and that was able to be brought up to spec to be able to be used. And funnily enough, I think about it every time I drive past it, Terry. There's no doubt that he's a passionate, hard-working member of this authority. He throws himself into everything that he is asked to do, and I think it's fair to say, and we've talked about this before, although we don't always agree on either policy or politics, small p. I have a massive amount of respect for Terry and for the time and effort he puts into not just his own ward, but also West Devon Borough Council as a whole. For those reasons, I'm delighted to propose Councillor Pearce for Deputy Mayor for the forthcoming year. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Boer. I ask if there is a seconder for that.
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. Are there any other nominations, please? In that case, can I put that to the vote, please?
That is 30 in favour. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. In that case, Councillor Pearce, up to the high table.
Thank you, members. I will declare my acceptance of office, which is I, Terry Pearce, having been elected to the office of Deputy Mayor of West Devon Borough Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. I have delight in handing you the badge of office.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much. Good morning, members and Madam Mayor. Thank you for your vote of confidence in me. It is a great honour to be voted Deputy Mayor of this authority. An authority which is regarded as small by other authorities in Devon, but once again during the pandemic we are fighting way above our weight. There is no doubt about that, and I ask that we carry on working together in a way that we have done over the last couple of years, and for the good of our communities and for our authority. We have to remember that a lot of our officers over the last 14-15 months, at times during that period, have been working just about 24/7 in dealing with the initiatives that have been put forward by central government to safeguard as many businesses as possible and also individuals. So it is therefore my belief that we should carry on working together in the way that we are expected to do for the benefit of our residents and communities. I would like to thank Councillor Tony Leach, the outgoing Mayor, and also our new Mayor, Councillor Caroline Mott, who has done a brilliant job, the pair of them, over the last 2 years. It's been a horrible time, and I really feel for Councillor Leach and Sue, his wife, in the benefits or the good parts of being a mayor that they've missed out on. It really, over the 2 years that they've been in post, it really has been heartbreaking. I would like to thank, on closing, I'd like to thank the officers for what they have put in place here to safeguard us. There's a huge amount of work that's gone on behind the scenes to make this meeting possible today, and I would really like to show my appreciation, I hope you will too, for what officers have achieved here to try and safeguard our health. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Moving on to item 5, apologies for absence. I believe at the moment, Mr. White, we have none.
That's correct. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 31 members in the chamber. Thank you.
And do any members have any declarations of interest to declare? In that case, we can move on to approve the minutes of the council meeting held on the 30th of March 2021. Can I have a proposer, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And can I add my congratulations to everybody else in terms of your appointment as Mayor and Councillor Pearce's appointment as Deputy Mayor, and also my thanks to Councillor Leach for what he's done over the last 2 years. Members, the minutes of the meeting of the council held on the 30th of March 2021 have been circulated. They're on page 1 of the agenda papers. I would like to propose, please, that the minutes are approved and adopted as a correct record of the meeting. Could I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And can we have a show of hands for approval, please?
That is clearly carried. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. You'll be pleased to know there are no communications from me as Mayor, and there is no business that I'm aware of to be brought forward under item 9. Equally, disappointingly, we have had no deputations or petitions put forward by members of the public, and there have been no questions on notice submitted by members. I'd like to move on to item 12 to receive the reports of the committees. So the first one for those are the Development and Management and Licensing Committee for the 23rd of March 2021. Can I have a proposer, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'd like to add my congratulations to you and Councillor Pearce as well on your election. I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Development, Management and Licensing Committee held on the 23rd of March 2021 be received and noted. They are DM&L 54 to DM&L 60 and can be found between pages 7 and 12. I could have a seconder, please.
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Those are therefore noted, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. White. The Audit Committee from the 6th of April 2021. Councillor Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, and may I also add my congratulations to you on your successful election as Mayor of the Borough. I know you've been the consort of the Borough for many years, so you know exactly what you're taking on, and I know that you will do an excellent job. So thank you for taking that on. I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Audit Committee held on the 6th of April 2021 be received and noted. They are AC 26 to AC 35 and can be found between pages 13 and 16. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And those are noted, Mr. White.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And the Hub Committee from the 6th of April 2021. Councillor Drury.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Hub Committee held on the 27th of April 2021 be received and noted. They are HC 74 to HC 86 and can be found between pages 17 and 23. Could I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And those are duly noted as well.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Moving on to the meat of the meeting then, to appoint a leader and deputy leader to the council. Can I have nominations received for Councillor Drury? Can I have a proposal for that, please?
Madam Mayor, the last year has been a particularly challenging one, and no more so than for the leader of the council. We're all grateful for the huge effort Councillor Drury has made to ensure that the council emerges from this period in good shape. I therefore have no hesitation in proposing that he continues in his role and would ask for a seconder, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and may I add my congratulations on your election as Mayor and, of course, to Councillor Pearce as Deputy Mayor. I'm delighted to second Councillor Cheadle's proposal that Councillor Drury should continue to lead this council for a further year. Thank you.
Thank you. And may I have a show of hands for that, please?
That's 29 in favour. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And those against?
With one against. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any abstentions?
One abstention. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Councillor Drury. Welcome back to the fray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And moving on to Deputy Leader. Nominations received have been Councillor Cheadle. Do I have a proposal for that, please?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I would like to propose Councillor Cheadle to take up the post of Deputy Mayor. Councillor Cheadle has shown immense leadership qualities and has been very helpful to me over the past couple of years in his leadership of the Alliance Group. In recognition of the balanced nature of the council as it stands at the moment and the commitment of the Alliance Group to work together with the Conservative Group to bring forward the emerging strategy for West Devon, I have no hesitation in proposing Councillor Cheadle for that role. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And do we have a seconder for that, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I am happy to second that proposal. Thank you.
Unless we have any other nominations, can we put that to the vote, please?
That's 28 in favour. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And those against?
2 against. Thank you, Madam Mayor. 3 against. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sorry.
It's an abstention.
2 against with 1 abstention. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Congratulations, Councillor Cheadle. Moving on to item 15, which is the formal adoption of the Council Constitution. Councillor Dewar, would you like to introduce this, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members will have had circulated the papers relating to the annual review of the Constitution, which we are required to do. We have taken the opportunity to do a bit of tidying up of the Constitution. I'd perhaps like to call on Mr. Fairbairn, if I may, just to explain some of the rationale behind some of the changes that have been made. I wonder if I could indulge you for a few moments, Mr. Fairbairn, to make a couple of explanations. Thank you.
Certainly, thank you, Leader, Madam Chairman. The Constitution has been reviewed, given an initial review, I should say, in light of the previous decisions of the Hub Committee and the proposals to look again at the decision-making arrangements of the Council. In terms of, in the context of the requirement to approve a constitution at this meeting, the work that has had to be done on the constitution has been limited to trying to ensure a degree of consistency in some terminology that's used throughout the document, because as you'll appreciate, at the moment it's made up of a multiple number of parts, each of which have been drafted by different people in different styles. The layout is different. So in the time that I've had available, I've tried to bring a little bit of a semblance of order in terms of the formatting to certainly parts of the document. But the document itself does not have any changes other than what was to the Constitution, because that was beyond the remit that I have been given. Those changes, that further review is ongoing, and as the process goes forward, then obviously there will be further reports and involvement and consultation with members to ensure that we end up with a document that ultimately is easier, simpler, and provides greater clarity in terms of how we as a council operate and make decisions. The ultimate, the vision that I have is for the document that will have links between the various pages. Will have the important parts set out in a more concise form, so members can easily reach them, particularly regard kind of notices on motion, questions and public questions and the like. So ultimately, it will be a document which hopefully, and this is depending on my being provided with technological assistance, but hopefully we'll have a number of links within the document to allow you to easily flip between parts of the document. That's the vision. The document before you isn't that vision at present, but because of the need to adopt a constitution at this meeting, it is before you, and I appreciate that it hasn't gone through all the processes that it would normally go through, but you as the council are the supreme body and therefore all important in terms of adopting the constitution. Madam Chairman, I think that's all I need to say.
Thank you, Mr. Fairbairn. That's really helpful. Members will also be aware that there is an emerging strategy which we're intending to bring back to Council in July. We felt it is important for Hub, which will be the drivers of that strategy, and the appointments on Hub, lead members will drive that strategy. That we should be able to reflect in our appointments to Hub the process that we're going through and the work that will need to be done. The Constitution already allowed the Council to appoint Hub Committee members. It did contain within Article 6.01 brackets 3 a table which I have to say was somewhat outdated already, of Hub appointments. We're proposing that we remove that table so that we can appoint Hub Committee members by Council allocated to areas of responsibility which will reflect the roles they're expected to carry out to deliver the new strategy document, which at the moment we're calling the Plan for West Devon. So I hope that's okay with members. It makes absolute sense to me. It's a minor change. We've got to be able, I think, as council to appoint roles to the committees that we operate so that those committees are fit for purpose and will be able to drive forward the strategy. And that's what the very minor change we're proposing is all about. So in that sense, I commend the document to you and would be happy to take any questions with the help of those officers present if needs be.
Thank you, Councillor Jury. Councillor Moody, you have a question?
Thank you, Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got 3 questions. The first one is to the Borough Solicitor. First one, 2 questions. Does the council have to adopt a constitution at this meeting today?
Madam Chair, I'll take that question if I may. Yes, it does. The Constitution does require the Constitution to be approved at the annual meeting. So it does need to approve. It needs to approve a document that is a constitution. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Question 2 is why can't the council adopt the current constitution in its current form?
That constitution that is before you, in terms of the Appendix A, is the council's current constitution, simply with some reformatting and subject to the amendment that Councillor Jury has suggested. So in effect, there should be no difference between the two, and other than the way that some initial formatting has taken place to present a document that's a little bit tidier.
So just as a point of clarification, the current constitution that we have now, without the removal of the description of the hub roles, could be adopted today.
Madam Mayor, that is so. But I say the document is the same. Appendix A is the same document in a slightly different format, but with the amendments Councillor Jury proposes.
Thank you, Mr. Fairbairn. My other question is to the leader. We have a very good working constitution which has served this council for many years, a constitution which is the member's Bible and a public record, and currently clearly describes the roles and responsibilities of members' duties. But the proposal before us today plans on to airbrush the roles of the Hub Committee out of that constitution. And the Hub Committee is the most influential and senior committee on the council. I therefore thought that we were striving as a council for a better governance and transparency. And my question is, could the leader please explain to me what the benefits are of removing the roles and responsibilities of the most senior and influential committee of the council from the constitution?
Thank you, Councillor Moody. I think it's very, very important, as I see it, for both the council and for the hub to be able to appoint people into roles that are fit for purpose and which are designed to drive forward the strategy. As you know, we're in the purpose of finalising that strategy, and that won't come back to council until July. I think we have to have the flexibility to make sure that we've got the right resources in the right place to move that forward. And I think it's really important that we are able to do that quickly and efficiently, particularly given the delays that have happened over the past year with COVID to our programme, and that we must get on and deliver for the people of West Devon and not spend more time talking and going into the details and minutiae. The proposals that we're putting forward, there will be well-defined roles. They will emerge as the strategy emerges and will be dovetailed to that strategy and will be more efficient than the system we have at the moment. Of that, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Davies.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. As our Chief Executive will know, and the 2 leaders of the groups and Mr. Fairbairn, I've had several questions as we've gone on with this. As many of my emails start off, I have one simple question, and then I get an answer, which usually leads into another question. And I appreciate that the Constitution does have to change every year, because as we go along and we make some slight amendment through Hub or whatever else, it has quite a knock-on effect through the whole of the Constitution. And I know within the Audit Committee, when we've been looking at the Constitution in the past, may have one slight amendment on one page, then you suddenly realise the consequences of like another 40-odd pages or so. And the monitoring officers always painfully have to go through the whole Constitution, which is many, many pages, as we know, to actually pick up with the finer points. So, yeah, consistency, I think things do have to change, because we actually do look at the Constitution as it is. There are some tweaks that are required, because some things have gone out of date, so I pretty appreciate that. But my question is, as we go forward, and whether this is to Mr. Fairburn or to our leader, I don't know really the question, but as we go forward, and obviously things have still got to change, does that go back to the Hub, or does that go back to the Audit Committee, who actually, which is part of our remit, is to look at the Constitution?
I'm concerned this is going to turn into a rapidly...
I'm subject to approval from Mr. Fairburn as legal approval. My view is that the Audit Committee has served this purpose very well in the past. I think with a knowledge of the route that is spread ahead of us, we will be able to plan that effectively, and I would very much like to involve the Audit Committee in that process, much the same as I would like to involve other members of Council. It's really important that we get something here that is fit for purpose and enables us to deliver the strategy that we're looking to adopt.
Thank you. Anything to add to that?
No, Madam Mayor, because I think the intention is that we would follow the due process, but at the same time seek to engage members across the board in terms of the development of the Constitution. So, but in terms of the formal decision-making processes, it would follow through the Audit Committee to Hub and to Council.
Thank you. Councillor Coulson.
Just a point of clarification, in case I might be missing a piece of paper. In 702 other bodies, it's got the list of those other bodies. In this pack, I don't have a list of the nominations for those bodies. Yet it says they will be decided at the annual meeting. An oversight on my part, have I missed? Yeah, I've got that, but it doesn't actually say.
Yeah, they're over the page, Councillor.
Yeah, sorry, the working groups. No. Are they yet to be decided, sorry?
Yes, I've just been advised that the working groups will be appointed later by the advisory groups.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've just realised this is rapidly turning into a test to remember everybody's faces now in real life, as opposed to a little dot on the bottom of the screen. Thank you. Do we have any other questions, members? Councillor Pearce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like, as a point of clarification, actually, if I may, because it appears to me that this is a document that is work in progress. If we formally adopt the Constitution today, how do we stand with the 6-month rule for the July meeting on bringing changes forward? I don't know if Mr. Fairburn would like to.
You as the council have the power to say no, we'll consider it. So if there's enough of you vote in favour of it, but essentially I think because the wording differs between the two constitutions, a motion that has been rejected can't be brought back. But clearly, this is you must be in a position to be able to approve or discuss a constitution and changes to the constitution, or indeed any item that you've already previously discussed. I don't think there'll be an issue with you and the 6-month rule.
Thank you, Mr. Fairburn. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions, members? In that case, Councillor Jury, would you like to put forward your recommendation?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation which is set out on page 5 of the annual meeting procedural notes. The Council resolves to 1. Adopt the revised constitution set out at Appendix A to the report, subject to A. The replacement of the words and table in Article 6.01 brackets 3 by the words the remaining 7 hub committee members will be appointed by the council and allocated such areas of responsibility reflecting the plan for West Devon as the council may decide from time to time. B. The list of committees, subcommittees and other bodies in Article 7.01 being replaced by those committees, subcommittees and other bodies to be agreed by the council later in the meeting. And C. The head of legal services and monitoring officer making any consequential amendments, if any, needed to give effect to items 1A and B. And item 2, to note that further reports will be brought to the council as work progresses in reviewing and reformatting the constitution so that it provides a simpler and easier document. If I could have a seconder, please.
Happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And may I have a show of hands, please, in support of that?
Before we do, Madam Mayor, we're in debate now.
My apologies, Mr. White. Would any member like to debate that? Councillor Moody.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I said before, I have serious reservations that we are looking to have a constitution which does not define and record the duties of the hub members and the responsibilities. As I said, it is the members' Bible, it's a public record which members of the public, our communities can view and see what which people are on the hub and what their responsibilities are. Later, members, we will be looking at another agenda item where we will be discussing and voting on the appointments to a new hub format, a format of roles and responsibilities which have been decided by the leader of the 2 political groups, and to the best of my knowledge, no other members have been consulted, no hub members and certainly not members of the Alliance Group. All we've seen so far regarding the emerging plan is a scant email with a sketchy outline of some of the proposed new duties and no explanation of expected duties for each role or clear guidance of responsibilities. How on earth can we make such a significant decision of removing the description of the hub roles and responsibilities without any detail? We are expected to make a leap of faith. Well, I, for one, am not leaping. We have not even had a members' workshop to discuss the pros and cons of any new system, but yet today we're asked to amend the Council's constitution to remove the references to the new hub roles, responsibilities of the hub, which is, as I said before, a senior committee of the council. It's always been said in local government regarding the transparency of council decision making and members' action, and I remember when I was on the Standards Committee, is what would the man on the Clapham omnibus think? With reference to what we're being expected to do today, he, the man on the Clapham omnibus, would say, that doesn't feel right. We should have a record in our constitution of the roles and responsibilities of the hub members. And it doesn't feel right to me, and I hope that there are other members who feel equally. As a result, Madam Mayor, I would like to propose an amendment to item 15. And the amendment is to add at section 3 that the decision of the council be postponed until such time that 1, the constitution review being undertaken by the borough solicitor has been completed, 2, the corporate strategy has been completed and agreed, and 3, that the council receive a report setting out in detail the new hub roles and responsibilities and agreed by full council. In the interim, I would suggest that we adopt the current constitution until that occurs. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do I have a second?
I'd like to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. In that case, we need to debate. Sorry, Councillor Joe, do you want to respond to that first?
Yes, if I may, Madam Mayor. I'm afraid that I don't agree with the point that has been put. If we look at the existing constitution document, there is a table on there which sets out the roles of members of Hub. The table, I would say, is very sketchy. I don't think it's a detailed description of the roles of Hub. It is out of date. We're not conforming to it at the moment. And what we're proposing is to bring something in that actually updates and enables us to move forward. There will be, as the emerging strategy comes forward, there will be further debate amongst members of the council. There will be a great deal of work in pulling together the responsibilities of individual members of Hub, who will be much more accountable and much more focused in what they're delivering in terms of the overall strategy. And I think the man on the Clapham Omnibus would probably recognise the benefits of that and would welcome the proposals that we're bringing forward today.
Thank you. Mr. White, my understanding is that because we've had an amendment put forward and seconded, we need to vote on that first?
Assuming that the debate is concluded, that's correct, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other items to debate? Thank you. Councillor Hipsey, my apologies.
That's right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have to say that I agree with many of the points that Councillor Moody's made. I note that Councillor Jory was saying that really this needs to be done quickly and efficiently, I think were his words. My personal feeling is perhaps this might be a bit too quick, and I don't think it's desperately efficient. My concern is that many of the proposed changes have been notified at very short notice and by email with no, what I would call sufficient documentation that members can consider. I'm finding this very difficult. I've been reading it over for, well, the 24 hours since this email arrived, and I'm still a little concerned about some of the proposals. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hayworth.
Speaking as a woman on the omnibus, I feel there's been a great deal of well-intentioned effort to move things forward, and I have a great deal of confidence in the people that have been working on this very hard.
Thank you, Councillor Hayworth. Councillor Ridges.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. What I see and what is encouraging and I think is more encompassing and more inclusive are the new options, because I think for many members who aren't part of the Hub Committee, who sit on other committees, they're going to be more enfranchised by this, with this more flexible arrangement going forward. And I think it is more efficient and it will involve many more people from the council, so I lend my support to it.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Yes, before I move on to you though, please, I would like to assure the members of the public that are listening to this and are probably bemused by why we're debating this and labouring the point. And I would just like to assure members and those members of the public that are listening that this is just one table within a weighty document that is being changed and removed so that it can be updated easily later on, and that the list of committees being proposed are replacing those. So while I appreciate members' concerns with this, they are only a couple of minor things that are being updated to the main constitution. Councillor Davies.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. We've obviously got the Constitution in front of us, and I'm sure we were going to ask people on this wonderful Clapham Omnibus what their opinion was of the West Devon Borough Council's Constitution. I'm sure they'd have a different response to what we all think they're going to have. But I think we have to decide upon something today, that's for sure. And although I do sort of understand what Councillor Moody's saying, and I do have sympathy with some of the points that he's raised, I think we do have to move on. And I think for me, it's as been pointed out to us by Mr. Fairburn, it's going to go back to the due process. So I think whatever needs to be hammered out will be hammered out in the weeks and months to come. So I just think I won't be supporting the amendment. Thank you.
Councillor Leach, did you want to add to that, please?
Yes, I wasn't going to, but I will. It's the process that concerns me. The process hasn't been transparent, that's for sure. And it's just been said that as things go forward, there'll be further debate. That's the biggest problem for me. There's been almost little, if no debate on. For me, it starts with I'll call it the new plans, the West Devon plan. So the West Devon plan is in its infancy. But it seems to me that some people are thinking that what's been put forward now is already cast in stone. Because if it isn't, why are we trying to change the hub members' role now? Because we could get to July and find it actually hasn't changed that much because members may not like what's being put together by others. So I'd like to see some guarantees that all members will have take full part of any debate that's going forward for the plan, then the hub members, and then what those hub members are responsible for. In a way, I'd like that guarantee today before I actually vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leach. Andy.
So I'm switched on. Councillor Leach, thank you very much for your question. I think I've given assurances to those people who've asked me directly on this issue. We're absolutely committed to there being further conversations. My view would be that we should take a similar approach to that which we've taken in South Hams, which is that we'll have some conversations in political groups as well as through the formal process. And I'm more than happy to have separate conversations with any members who wish to. I know that David will do the same. I mean, ultimately, the Constitution is the fundamental rulebook of the Council, but the other part of it is it absolutely must be a living document. So there are moments in time, annual council is the point in time at which you have the opportunity to change it. You either change the Constitution now and then appoint, or you do it the other way around. And to be honest, it makes little difference either way. I think it's perfectly relevant, though, for the council today. You are the supreme body for decision making for the council to make a decision, make your appointments. I'll give you my commitment that we as officers will work with all members who wish to engage in this in terms of developing the Constitution going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Coulson.
I entirely agree with change. I agree that it should be a living document. That's only right, and also that these proposed changes are absolutely well intentioned. But I still have the feeling, even after this debate, that there's an element of cart before the horse here. Can we have an assurance that there will be a members' workshop on the roles and responsibilities before we then vote people into them? Can we have some assurances, effectively?
I think officers have already given that assurance, as has our Chief Executive.
We've certainly given assurance that we'll work with the political groups on discussions in terms of changes to the Constitution, absolutely. There are other items on the agenda today where Council will be deciding on appointments to its committees, so those decisions will be made, assuming that you take those decisions before you.
Does that help, Councillor Coulson? Thank you. Councillor Daniel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say that I think hub roles do need to be flexible and do need to change to meet the challenging circumstances the council and society now find itself in. Following the unforeseen event of COVID and what's to come, plus the climate and biodiversity emergency, which we declared in 2019, and now, nearly 2 years later, we're still debating on what we do. I think it is about time that we had a much more flexible system. I'd like to see that all councillors are involved in the roles within Hub, within the strategy groups, and can also take part in decision making more than they probably have in the past. So, and I know that we will be working on it to see what works and what doesn't work, but I really welcome this change, and I don't think we should be afraid of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Daniels. Are there any other members wishing to add to the debate? Councillor Boer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it's been explained that the change is a very minor change. The table relating to the Hub Committee is being taken out, and then the opportunity to be able to reformat that section to bring it more up to date with the workings of the council seems a sensible thing to do to me. As what somebody once said, constant change is here to stay, and we have to kind of move to that. And I think if the proposal on the table was wholesale changes through the constitution, I think that would be a different matter. But we've had reassurance that there'll be opportunities for members to have an input into this formally and informally. I won't be supporting the amendment on that basis. I think the proposal in front of us is perfectly sufficient. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Boer. Do you have a point of order that you wish to add, Councillor Moody?
Just a point of information that Councillor Ball suggested incorrectly that what we're voting on today is that when the emerging hub roles are established or flexed or morphed or whatever they're doing, that it will be then recorded in the Constitution, which is not what we are voting on today. We are voting on removing from the hub description from the Constitution completely. It will not be updated from time to time.
I'm looking to my right here. However, I would like to reassure Councillor Moody that the hub roles would also already be a matter of public record, as they will be reflected in council minutes and will be debated, and they are open to the public.
So just to come in as well, I mean, if members wish for a table to go back into the Constitution reflecting the new and revised roles that are agreed and aligned with the plan for West Devon, of course that's entirely at your discretion as council to so decide. So there's no sense of this being a permanent change. It is a means of achieving the process by which council today can make the appointments to the roles on Hub Committee. We've given assurances that will be both a formal process and informal processes whereby members can be engaged in it. Ultimately, council makes the decision on its constitution, and it will come back to council for you to decide. So hopefully we've given sufficient assurances that you will be in charge of the final format and content of the document.
Councillor Cheadle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could I just suggest that actually the right place for the description of the hub members' roles and responsibilities will be in the new plan. That's the thing that people will be interested in, will read, will find out what the council is doing, and they will then find out who the responsible people for doing that are. That is the best place for this description to live.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. That can always be debated at a later date. If there are no other members wishing to speak in debate,
Before we move to the vote, Madam Mayor, Councillor Jury, as the original proposer, does have the right to reply before Councillor Moody, apologies, has the right to close the debate on the amendment. So they do have that option.
thank you, Councillor Jury. Do you wish to add to that?
Thank you. Just really to reinforce what Councillor Cheadle has just said, that the right place, in my view, for this information is in the living and breathing document that will be the plan. Now, that plan will be brought forward in connection with and in keeping with the Constitution. But that, I think, will be the right place for it.
Thank you. And did you wish to reply, Councillor Moody?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to reiterate that I have major concerns that this isn't something that I feel very comfortable with, and I will stand by my decision for an amendment because I think that all of us need to see what this emerging plan is before we vote on it. But it's tantamount to me today thinking about going for a job and being told, yes, you'll get the job, but we'll tell you what the job is when you've got it. We'll tell you what your responsibilities are after you get the job. I think, and as Councillor Bridgewater said, I think it's cart before horse. We should be looking at we should be involving the members in the roles of the hub before we start changing things, and constitutionally. So I stand by my amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Moody. Now, if I've managed to keep up with this correctly, Mr. White, I understand we are voting on the amendment first before the original motion.
We are indeed, thank you, Madam Mayor, and depending on the outcome of the vote on the amendment, we'll determine what the substantive motion looks like.
Thank you.
Therefore now voting
That's fine. I'm just pleased that I've managed to keep up with all of it. So in that case, members, can I have your vote in support of the amendment?
That's 7 in favour of the amendment. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And those against?
$23 against. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So that means no abstentions, if my maths is correct, Mr. White?
Hopefully 1, Madam Mayor.
Oh.
Councillor Ewing.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor. I will be abstaining from this vote and the next vote. Further in the agenda, if I'm standing and selected as Chairman of ONS, if this gets called in, my view is not known yet.
Thank you. In that case, we can move to vote on the original recommendation as put forward by Councillor Jury. Those in support?
That's 24 in favour. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Those against?
3 against. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And with our 1 abstention.
Hopefully,
Unless
a few more, Madam Mayor.
We've got a couple more?
4 abstentions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll try harder next time, Councillor Pearce. Thank you, Mr. White. So that recommendation is now approved. We now move on to item number 6, which is the approval of the draft calendar. Item 16, did I say 15? Oh, 6. We are having fun today, Councillor Pearce, aren't we? So I will start this again. In that case, members, can we please move on to item 16, the draft calendar of meetings for 2021-22. Do we have a proposal for that, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, if I may, I would like to propose that the Council notes the draft calendar of meetings for the coming year.
And do we have a seconder for that?
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Do members have any questions on that? And hopefully then, with no questions, there's no debate. Can I have a show of hands then, please, for those in support?
That is unanimous. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. White. So, item 17, which is the report on the composition of the political groups. As shown on your papers on page 6. And we're asked to note those. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Item number 18, which is to approve the committee structure for the coming year. So that would be for the Audit Committee, 7 members, Hub Committee, 9 members, Overview and Scrutiny, 15, Development Management and Licensing, 10, Standards Committee, 5, and Investor-Owned Committee, 3, with National Park Authority appointments as 2 members. Can I have a proposer for that, please?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I would like to propose that the committee structure is adopted as in the papers circulated.
Thank you, Councillor Jury. And a seconder?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Can I have a show of hands in support of that, please?
That's unanimous. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. White. Item 19 is for nominations for the 2021-22 municipal year as outlined on the tabled circulation. Can I have a proposer for those, please?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I'd like to propose the members of the bodies of the council as set out on the papers circulated for agenda item 19. In doing so, I'd like to recognise the contribution of all those who've served on committees over the past year, and in particular those that have chaired committees over the past year. I'd like to make special mention, if I may, of 3 members of last year's Hub Committee who are no longer nominated for places on the Hub Committee. Councillor Sellis, who was duly re-elected as a member of Devon County Council and has asked to stand down from the duties on Hub in order to concentrate on that area. Councillor Samuel, who similarly I'd like to congratulate on her election to the Devon County Council, and she will be concentrating on her duties there over the coming year, and also to Councillor Moody, and thank you all for your contributions to Hub. Members, I'd like to obviously then propose that we accept the membership of the bodies of the Council as set out in agenda item 19, and I would like to make that proposal. Thank you.
And do we have a seconder for that?
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Moody, you have a question? Councillor Moody, can you put your microphone on, please?
As I've stated previously, I have very grave concerns regarding the proposed new Hub format and the roles and responsibilities due to the scant information that the Council has been provided regarding the new format. As I keep saying, all I have is an email received 2 weeks ago giving a more or less a thumbnail sketch. I and no other members have seen a full comprehensive roles and responsibilities description. And as far as I'm concerned, this is not good governance. It's not, as far as I'm concerned, that we cannot allow this sort of thing to happen unless we are fully informed. And by trying to put people into a new system, and we don't know what the new system is, I think is a failure of our process. And it's all about process. And as a result, Madam Mayor, I would again ask that the decision of the council to appoint members to the new hub roles be postponed until such time as the new constitution changes have been completed, the corporate strategy has been completed and agreed, and the council receives a full setting out of the detail of the new hub roles and responsibilities. I have not a clue what these responsibilities are, how the hub committees, subcommittees are going to be formatted, and I'm suggesting that we delay the decision and agree at full council once we have the detail of the new hub roles. And in the meantime, that with respect to the hub and the hub alone, the status quo exists in respect to the hub format, and it be retained, and the current present hub format be retained with the current lead members in their posts until we have had a chance to look at the new roles and responsibilities. Do I have a second?
Sorry, Councillor Moody, I'm waiting for the question in that.
That was, it is an amendment to item 19 before we decide to vote on the hub membership.
In that case, do we have a seconder for that?
So, Madam Mayor, as a point of order, have we not already voted on this?
Not on the committee appointments.
But on the actual...
We voted on the make-up under item 18. We are now on item 19, which is the appointment to those bodies of members as detailed on page 1 of your supplementary papers.
If I can just add to that as well, Deputy Mayor, part of that process is to appoint Madam Mayor, apologies. Part of that process as well is to appoint those hub members to a area of responsibility or portfolio area. So it is a two-pronged process in the hub appointments process. Apologies, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Does that help, Councillor Davies?
Yes, thank you.
So I'm currently still seeking a seconder to Councillor Moody's amendment. In that case, members, sorry, Councillor Spettiger, you had a question, I believe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It wasn't a question, actually it's a statement, so I'm happy to wait till the appropriate time.
Thank you. Any other questions for members? In that case, we can move to debate. Mr. Spettiger.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations both of you on your new appointments. I'd like to start by thanking the Leader and the Deputy for the time and effort they've put into the process that leads us to this vote. However, despite their efforts, I find myself unable to support it. It is my opinion that the absence of a single Tavistock member from the proposed makeup of the Hub Committee, when there are 7 members elected to this council, represents a disproportionate underrepresentation of the 23% of West Devon residents who live here. My feelings on this matter transcend the who, why, whats and when. For me now, the time for those things has passed and we do have important work to get on with. However, the lack of geographical balance is something I'm simply not comfortable with. Yesterday, a colleague pointed out to me that it would be wrong to think that members from outside Tavistock would in any way do less to represent Tavistock and its residents' interests. And I'd like it to be known that I embrace that notion, and I'm grateful to be reminded of it. On that basis, I would like to make it clear that I do not have any concerns or doubts about the abilities of any of the proposed hub members or roles. I am in no doubt that they will demonstrate commitment and vigour in representing Tavistock's interests equally alongside those of the rest of the borough. However, the disparity between population distribution and geographical representation of hub members as proposed is in my mind too great and is something I am unable to endorse. So having considered this matter at length, and based on this single issue, I cannot support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Spettiger. Any other members wish to speak in debate? Councillor Jury.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I must admit to being rather taken aback by the last comment. As members will know, there are 7 elected members in Tavistock. One of those members is in the Conservative group and 6 are in the Alliance. I've already explained that the reason that Councillor Sellis will not be on Hub is a personal one, and one that is occasioned by her work, very important work elsewhere. There were therefore a number of nominations that could have been made by the Alliance group to reflect the geographical spread, as you call it, and none were made. I know it's also right to say that if the Tavistock Independents stood as a separate group, they would be entitled to 2 seats on the Hub, and they've failed to do that. So coming and complaining now, I think, is astonishing. I'd also like to reiterate that, of course, certainly I can speak for all of the members in the Conservative group, that those members take their responsibilities to the borough as a whole very seriously, as can be evidenced by the support that the council has shown for Tavistock during the recent pandemic. So I'm afraid that I have to refute some of the implications in the statement that's just been made. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Boer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've been a member of this authority for 10 years, and during that 10 years, it ebbs and flows of who has roles and where they're from. The roles are appointed on a political basis, on the political balance of the council. It's simple as that, not on a geographical basis. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Boer. Councillor Wood.
Hello, congratulations, Councillor Mott, on your mayoresshood. I would like to follow that with and the sort of debate about balance. And I know that Rick and Neil have both put a lot of time into looking at the balance of the roles on all of the committees and all of the hubs. But I just want to remind everyone, please, that there is no good gender balance on these senior leadership roles at all. On the hub committee, there are 9 members, 7 of which are men and 2 of which are female. Now, that isn't a balance at all. That's not representing our communities and our residents, who are 50% women. And in fact, in the council here today, we have almost a third of our members are women, and you know, they're not represented properly in either the hub seats or the chairmanships either of the committees that we're voting in as well. Only 3 of the 11 chairmanships are women on that council. Also, just to point out that about 65 to 75% of our residents are of working age. In the senior leadership and on the hub committee, there are 2 out of 9 people who are of working age on that council. And whereas we have little sway to do anything about that now, I think what we need to be doing as a council is leading by example to our future leaders in our borough of how power is made up and who has responsibility. Okay, I think this is very heavily swayed towards males, and the females on this council are not represented fully, and also those of working age. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. Councillor Sellis.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor. Is usable actually. Just following on from gender. It's just a point of order. Please, can we refer to fellow councillors as councillors? I think we're getting very familiar, and I do strongly believe that familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes in chambers there is harsh negotiations and dialogue and what have you, and we're doing that to represent the people that vote for us. And we are not being personal. I mean, if I wanted to be really rude or anything like that, I would do it intentionally, but I certainly wouldn't do it in the chamber. If I had something personal to get out with somebody,
So please, I ask you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayor, whatever you wish to be referred to, please could we refer to each other as councillors, and I hope people will support me in that. And I do have some sympathy with what Councillor Wood was just saying about the age range of councillors. My father was a local councillor, and he deprived me of seeing him, and it's something that I found very difficult to cope with. And I'm still scarred, and even though I'm nearer 70 than 50, you know. But how we do that, I think that would be a very good thing, and I would support Councillor Wood in that, how we make it, how we facilitate younger people to represent our community. That's really all. It was just a point of order, and thank you very much. And also thank you very much for the good wishes that I've received. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sellers. Councillor Hipsey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to just respond, if I may, to Councillor Ball's statement about geography and representation. I think he makes some very good points that hopefully all the members present here are here to represent and make decisions on behalf of the borough. That is most important. However, I would take some words from your own acceptance speech, Madam Mayor, which I think are very good and very laudable. You did actually say that we all need to work for the benefit of our community. So it really depends on how you define our community. I think some of us do feel that we would like to be seen to represent our local community as well as the borough. I'd also like to highlight Councillor Ball's statement just now, where he said how important local matters are to members of the council. So I'd just like to emphasise local matters. I don't think we should forget in our duties to the borough that we do represent local people and they expect us to make their points in council. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Indeed, Councillor Hipsey, and I'm sure that's the sentiment that we all share. Councillor Yelland.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What I'm hearing here is slightly concerning me because I'm hearing a lot of parochialism, I'm hearing a lot of sexism, and I'm hearing a lot of ageism. As councillors, we are elected to have a strategic overview. When we sit on committee, whether it's a committee or the hub or a working group or whatever it may be, we are here to have a strategic overview with regard to the entire borough, not any particular one area. And I know each and every one of us have at times wanted to fight the corner for our particular area. But when we fight that corner for that area, it is at the sacrifice of another area. And we do need to be mindful of that. Being a councillor requires sacrifice. It's personal sacrifice. It can frequently be financial sacrifice. And when we stand for election, we should be well and truly aware of that, irrespective that the public think we get paid a small fortune. We don't. None of us stand for the financial reasons. But we do need to make that sacrifice when we do stand if we are successfully elected. In terms of noting the gender balance, and being a female myself, I have absolutely no problem with the right people for being in the right position to do the right job, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their age, irrespective of any of the protected characteristics, basically. And I think it is very important that each political grouping has the option to put forward the names for the seats on the hub, and that is for each political group to do that. And those discussions can be had within your own political grouping if you feel that you, in your particular gender, are being unrepresented. And equally, I think the same with the age element. Yes, it would be wonderful to be able to attract younger people. It would be wonderful if younger people were available and able to carry out the roles that we are talking about. But again, I come back to that sacrifice. And if you've got a young family, it is very difficult to do both. Again, you're looking at your income, whatever it might be. So, for me, I would be supporting the position that is coming forward before us now for the members of the bodies of the council, and particularly the hub committee. And I think it is very important that we actually do look forward and not back, and we need to just get on with the job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Yelland. You made some very good points. Well made. Councillor Davies.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I hear what's being said, and I think that's what we're here to discuss and sort of debate. But each one of us represents a ward, and it's our obviously responsibility to represent that ward. But we all of us, and as has been said by some, we do have a collective responsibility for the whole of the borough. So we have to bear that in mind. I do appreciate about gender balance and age balance, and obviously the geographical split as well. But then, what we're looking at today is this composed list from the two groups has actually been devised before today, and surely these discussions should have taken place in the groups rather than being brought to full council. No, we are the overarching body of the council. It's for us to discuss. But really, it's for the two groups to go back and to discuss, who should be on the committee, on the hub, etc., etc. I mean, in my case, of course, I'm not entitled to go on the hub at all. I'm the only councillor here who's not entitled because it's all political split. That's my own doing. I appreciate that. But then, I think in future we're going to make sure these things should be really hammered out in the group sessions to actually work out who's standing and why. And if 7 Tavistock councillors think, hang on a second, we've got no representation, then just numerically they've got the position to vote that out anyway, or vote it in. I would have thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Councillor Samuel.
I think Councillor Yellen stole my thunder, so I won't repeat what was said, but I just want to thank Councillor Jory for the kind words. And as a young mum, a full-time working mum, I made that choice of juggling my work and my council work, and it's been an honour to serve the Hub Committee for 6 years now. I just wanted to say that Councillor Drury and Councillor Cheadle have spent many weeks in looking at the positions, juggling who is best for the job, and I fully support the decisions that have been made today.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any others that wish to add to this? Councillor Pearce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very saddened and disappointed what I've heard today, because I am aware that the leader of the Alliance Group has worked his socks off for 3 to 4 weeks and trying to get representation from Tavistock members to go on to the hub. And we understand that the half of the Tavistock members have very busy working lives, and it is very difficult for them to commit to a lead role on the hub because it is quite demanding. If the job is done properly, you're looking at 2 to 3 days a week at least, and some weeks it can be 4. And so we accept that, the ones who are working and have got very, very full-time jobs, we wouldn't expect them to come forward for a hub position. But I know what the requests that the leader, and I'm saying this because of the public information that's going out there, that what I've heard today gives an indication that the Tavistock members have been disregarded from having representation on the hub. And that simply is not true. And the Tavistock members, the ones who would be able to serve on the hub, who have got the time to put to it, should not have delayed and messed about the way they did right until the last minute. It's been appalling. And it's not fair on officers. Our officers have had a hell of a time this last 12 months, and to expect things to be changed at the final minute is just not acceptable in my view. And I just feel that, I need to say this so the public out there can accept and understand why we're in this position. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. If that's all, Councillor Moody.
In response to that statement, I think that it isn't as black and white as Councillor Pearce suggests. In our discussions, we were given the new hub roles, the new hub system. And I argued that we shouldn't be changing at the moment because we haven't been communicated with, advised what was involved. So I was holding back, thinking I want to nominate for positions on the old system. But the old system, I'm told, wasn't going to happen because there's an emerging system. Now, I didn't want to be on the emerging system because I wanted the old hub system because we haven't had any communication or input into the transition. And it's the process. I'm not pointing fingers at any individual. I'm not criticizing any individual. This is about the process of moving from one point to another, taking everyone with you, discussing it and communicating it, and everyone having ownership of it. So in my situation, I didn't submit a nomination to the new hub because I didn't want the new hub system without any information. If I knew what the new hub system was, I could have nominated for it, but as I say, I have one email giving me a scant background. It's a thumbnail sketch. How on earth are Tavistock members supposed to nominate for these positions when they don't even know what the job is? So that is why at the last minute, I said I could see which way the wind was blowing. And I said, okay, if we are forced to have this new system, then I will nominate for one of the positions. But I was not allowed to be nominated for that position. So that is why I wanted to be nominated on the new system. And as a result of all this, and I'm just going to come out and say this now, is that I have not been happy with this whole process. And I care about the community. I care about the council. I care about the process. And I have reached a point where I am today publicly leaving the alliance group and becoming an unaligned independent because my voice isn't being heard. There endeth the lesson.
Councillor Pearce, you wish to reply to that one?
Yes, I would, Madam Mayor, if I may. I just feel that the West Devon plan that's coming forward with the hub roles in has been discussed as part of the recovery programme from the pandemic, from COVID-19. And all of us, or the majority of us, have attended the workshops for the recovery plan, and that is what is bringing forward the West Devon plan, or has led to the basis of that. And therefore, and it's been aired, okay, sketchy, but as all changes are, when something new is coming forward, the infinite detail isn't there. But to say that you have no idea of what the hub roles are going to be, certainly when we've discussed it at the workshops for the COVID recovery plan, which is now leading to the plan for West Devon, it's been discussed. So if unfortunately you haven't been able to attend those workshops, I don't think you can blame the process, Councillor Moody. Thank you.
I beg to disagree.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. I think we've had enough opportunity for members to be able to add into this. Sorry, Councillor Spettigue, is it a quick one?
Coulson.
My apologies,
No,
Councillor Spettigue for Councillor Coulson.
Yeah, just a very quick one so we can round up. I think we're coming to the end now, and I imagine this will go through. I haven't agreed with some of what's been said, and I strongly agree with some other things that have been said. I think it's really important that we all leave here with little or no ill feeling, and we will resolve to just get on with the job, regardless of what the future structure looks like in subsequent debates. And actually, whilst I don't agree with all the decisions that have been made, I'd just like to thank publicly both of our leaders who've not been riding 2 horses each, they've been riding many more, like a whole herd, in different directions. And like I said, I don't agree with all the decisions, however, I'd like to thank them for their hard work, and that we all resolve to leave here with no ill feeling and then support our residents best that we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Colston. Now, if I've been following this correctly, Mr. White, we have a proposal for the committees as made up on page 1 of the supplementary papers. Can I have a show of hands for support?
Correct. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Those in favour?
That's 25 in favour. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. White. And those against?
That's 2 against. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And abstentions?
With 4 abstentions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, members. So item 20 is to appoint the chair and vice chair of the committees. Nominations are outlined on page 3. We're missing page 2, Mr. White.
Page 2 is intentionally left blank, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. White. On page 3 of the supplementary papers in front of you, can I have a nomination for those, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm sure it would be easier to vote on the contents of page 2 at the moment, but let's move on. If I can make the nominations for the chairs of the various committees as set out on page 3, please, Mrs. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dewey. Do I have a seconder for that, please?
I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. I'm assuming there are going to be no questions. Are we debated out on the previous item with this make-up? Thank you. In that case, can I have a show of hands for support, please?
That's 27 in favour. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Those against?
None against. Thank you.
And abstentions?
4 abstentions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, members. Item 21 is to appoint representatives to the list of outside bodies. As page 4 is intentionally blank, Mr. White, we are on page 5 of the supplementary papers. So we're going to do this in 2 stages, I believe. That is the approval of the list of outside bodies. We have a proposer, please.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. Councillor Sellis, did you want to raise a point of order?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's just the Dartmoor National Park Joint Advisory Committee on Housing. My name is there. That will not. Don't vote for me because it'll be whoever the portfolio holder is.
Councillor, just a word of explanation. What we're proposing at the moment is that we carry forward the representatives on outside bodies as the status quo as it stands at the moment. Clearly, as the new strategy emerges and as the new structure emerges, it's envisaged that we will have what we're terming at the moment advisory groups that will assist and work with the lead members on Hub, and that it would make sense for the representatives and outside bodies to align wherever possible with the functions of those advisory groups. So in other words, we would appoint appropriate people who are in different advisory groups to these bodies in July when everything becomes clearer. So I apologise if that's not clear at the moment, but that should emerge. So we are proposing that we continue with the status quo as it stands at the moment, on the basis that if there are any meetings of these bodies, we will have representatives to go with them, but it will be addressed in full council in July. I hope that's okay.
Yes, okay. I just wanted to highlight
Thank
that.
you.
That was all.
On that basis, Madam Mayor, I would like to propose the acceptance of the representatives on the outside bodies as set out on page 5 of the agenda papers.
Thank you, Councillor Gilliam. Do we have a seconder for that, please?
And once again, I'm happy to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cheadle. And moving that to the... My apologies. Councillor Hipsey.
Just a point of order, Madam Mayor. The list continues on to page 6. I don't know whether that's really important. We're just voting. We've just been told we're voting for the list on page 5. It does continue on to page 6. Oh, yes, I'm on page 6.
My apologies, Councillor Hipsey, you're quite right.
That had missed me, and I wasn't doing it for that reason, I promise you.
My apologies, Councillor Hipsey. I should have been clear in that the list starts on page 5. So if we're happy to move to the vote, those in support?
That is unanimous. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Item 22 is to appoint representatives to the list of governance boards and panels. This is only on page 7. And this is the approval of the list of governance boards and panels. Secondly, the proposal for the membership size of each of the approved boards and panels. And finally, the approval of the subsequent appointments. Do we have a proposer, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, subject to the same proviso as before, and noting that in doing so, these decisions will be reviewed again by the Council at the July full Council meeting. I'd like to propose the appointment of the government's boards and panels as set out on page 7.
Thank you. And a seconder?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Those in support?
That's 30 in favour. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any against?
None against.
And an abstentions?
And 1 abstention. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, members. Members, I'm sorry to drag this meeting on, as we no doubt would have normally have been broken up for lunch today. However, as we have no lunch to go to, I feel that I can justifiably bring this motion forward. So item 23 is that I wish the Council to lobby the Secretary of State and local MPs while working closely with neighbouring authorities and agencies to secure the protection of woodlands vulnerable to the effects of lotting. The lotting or subdivision of lodged forests and woodland is not a new scheme, and this practice will often realise a bigger return for those selling. Owning your own piece of woodland is an aspiration for many and has become increasingly fashionable. This trend being stimulated by various companies buying up large woodlands and subdividing them into smaller ones. As prices can often reach £20,000 a hectare, it is not always an option for local communities to be able to regain control over their surroundings. While the thought of a more distant owner might not matter in the wider debate of woodland management, there is growing concern over the lack of management within woodlands and the influx of sheds, huts and other development often seen on these smaller plots. Some concerns that have been raised are A. If there is a woodland fire, how many people could be affected and who knows they are there? B. Conservation issues, including the removal of trees and habitat, the disturbance of wildlife, flora and fauna. C. Issues around human waste management. D. Increased concerns around farm security, livestock and equipment due to the anonymity of those occupying the site. And E. Trespass as some people think they have the right to roam anywhere. Woodland recreation is certainly beneficial. However, intensive clearance, development and noise can be detrimental to the environment and wildlife, with important corridors being disrupted. I feel there is a need to have a wider strategy to protect, restore and manage our woodlands, for the need for owners to understand the importance of the habitat and any historic features contained within, so that they are better understood, conserved and protected. I would like to see a more coordinated approach to dealing with the issue at local and national level. I therefore ask the Council to support my motion before you today. Can I please have a seconder?
I'm very happy to second that motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do members wish to debate? Councillor Crozier.
Thank you, Mayor. I was surprised this was still going on. The reason why I say that is because when I was a member of the Ashford-Kent NFU back in the 70s, this first came up locally to Ashford and Kent. And we made very strong recommendation that this got knocked on the head fairly quickly. Now we can see it hasn't. And when we examine the paper that was distributed about this particular activity by some egregious, greedy individuals acquiring woodland, it is absolute disgrace to the authorities that they have not knocked this on the head for many years. So it's been going on for over 40 years to my knowledge. And I thoroughly applaud you, Madam Mayor, in bringing this to this council to try and bring pressure on the authorities in order to eliminate this national disgrace. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crozier. Councillor Boer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, following on from Councillor Crozier's points, we live in a rural community, and I think we'd all agree, the moor, the farmland, but also our woods and copse that are all over the place in West Devon are really important to us. And I'm quite shocked, actually. I was aware of some of the things you described, Madam Mayor. I think one of the problems we're going to have, unfortunately, is that there are not enough woods being addressed in urban areas for the government to take notice. They're more likely to take notice in that situation. But I think that doesn't mean to say we shouldn't address it with the government, and certainly lobbying the Secretary of State is important. But if I may just make a point that I think is really important that we include our two MPs in this as well. That I'm sure that was going to happen, but I thought I'd better mention that because getting them on side will actually be really important. So I commend you for this. I certainly will be supporting it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Boer. Councillor Hipsey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have to say that this is not something I'd ever come across before, and I commend you for your motion. I think it's very, very worthy. I was just thinking, though, that every argument should be looked at from both sides. And I wonder what Councillor Crozier is saying, that this has been a practice for at least 40 years. And I was just wondering what the counter-argument is. Why has the Secretary of State never done anything about this? What is the reason for not doing it? I don't know if anybody knows that, but it would be interesting just to think about that before we approve this motion.
I think it certainly would be interesting to learn what the reasonings are. My concerns are, though, that with the deterioration, shall we say, of planning regulations and the fact that we are unable to do anything to protect our woodland, particularly as we all move forward to try and protect our environment and we realise the importance of the woodland, that maybe it's time that this was reviewed and looked at again by the Secretary of State, and that he's made aware of our concerns in this area, where there are people moving into an acre, putting up sheds, where they're allowed to stay for 28 days, currently 56 days under current regulations, quite legally. And that is my concern, and this is why I'm asking you to consider this today, is that we are seeing the breakdown of large areas of woodland, and we are seeing more and more people moving into them. Granted, a lot of new owners are looking after the woodland and managing it well, others are not, and that is my concern.
Thank you.
Apologies. Councillor.
This one. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, just to emphasise the state of our woodland in the UK, only 11% of England has any forest cover. That's the lowest in Europe outside of Ireland, compared to something like 30% in Germany and 40% in France. This is the last bastion of our native wildlife in the UK, which is the most denatured nation in Europe as well. Just, you know, as a background, 108 ancient woodlands have just been cut down for HS2 in the Midlands and the southern England. So what we have left, we have to look after, and allowing it to be parcelled up as you described is just another way of allowing it to be exploited even faster. So strongly agree with your proposal.
Thank you. Councillor Spetke.
On the point you made, the changes coming to planning regulations, the implications of that are far-reaching. I couldn't agree with your recommendation more.
Thank you. Councillor Wood.
Thank you. Didn't know if you could see me there in the back waving. Yeah, I really agree with this, and I think there are a lot of valid points. But I do think also that, you know, a lot of the woodlands are owned by large landowners, and often those large landowners do not have the best plans for the future of those woodlands. Whereas, you know, people who might buy a part of the woodland and move in and look after it, I think, you know, when Councillor Crozier said about the greedy people who are buying up the woodlands, I think that's a bit of a generalisation, because actually because most of the land is owned by a small amount of landowners, you know, actually splitting it up and people having a right to buy and live in this land and look after it and be the custodians of it is really important, that normal people have that right as well. But generally, I think that's a good motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. I think we're done. We're done. Thank you. In that case, Mr. White, can we put that to the vote, please? Those in support?
That is unanimous for the motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, members. You'll be pleased to know we're on the home straight.
Apologies for the record. Councillor Wood's going to abstain on that one. Apologies.
My apologies. Oh, thank you. So, again, onto the home straight. Item 24 is for Sydenham Damerel. Apologies, I will get that in there. Sydenham Damerel Parish Council and the filling of vacancies by order. Can we have a proposal for that, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In front of you is a paper which sets out the circumstances in which Sydenham Damerel managed to find itself without a parish council following having no meetings during the pandemic period, no meetings at all. Under those circumstances, we, the monitoring officer, in negotiation and consultation with a number of councillors, ward members and mayor and deputy mayor, I believe, is able to make proposals to fill the quorum of the parish council so they can meet and move things forward. That has been done, and this paper is being brought to council in order to recommend that council notes that action and agrees that the delegation of powers should take effect. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
I think you're good to go, Councillor Dewey.
If there are not, I'd like to propose the recommendation shown on page 323. If I could have a seconder, I'd be very grateful.
Happy to send that, to second that proposal of recommendations, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pearce. Are there any members that wish to debate this? Councillor Pearce.
Just a quick one. I think this is a lesson for all of you who have good, strong relationships with your parish councils, and they ignore what you might be telling them. But there's a 6-month rule with councillors attending. If you don't attend a meeting in that 6 months period, you're automatically disqualified. And in this case, it was the whole parish council. So there's a good learning lesson here, I believe.
Thank you. Councillor Dewey, would you like to move your recommendation?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation.
Mr. White, if we can put that to the vote, I believe. Thank you.
Correct, Madam Mayor, because Councillor Pearce has seconded that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Those in favour?
That's unanimous for the recommendation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. White. So, item number 25 is to make the Highhampton Neighbourhood Plan. It's brilliant that we can see 2 coming before us. So I would like to move that we make the Highhampton Neighbourhood Plan. I know that a lot of work goes into these, both by the members of the community in the parishes and with support from officers. And as I say, I am pleased to see that we've got that one before us today. Can I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Does anybody want to debate that? In that case, can we have the vote, please, on making the Highhampton Neighbourhood Plan, please?
That's unanimous for the recommendation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. White. So item number 6, we'll make this one equally quick, is for North Taunton. And again, congratulations to them for being able to bring this one forward. And I would like to propose that we make North Taunton's neighbourhood plan. Have a seconder, please.
I would like to second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. And again, any debate on that one? In that case, members, can we have a show of hands for support?
That's once again unanimous. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, members, for your attendance. It's been a lengthy one.